Hello and welcome back, and if you're new to the channel, thanks for checking us out. Today I'm doing a very quick update on Bracken, our husky, and how he's beginning to fit into the family, and for me more importantly how he's beginning to come on as a potential hiking and outdoor companion. So I'll just share with you a few of my thoughts so far, and indeed what's actually been happening with him. Right then, so he's approaching 15 weeks, so we're still constrained with the amount of distance I can do. Obviously he's still developing, and at this stage you can't put them under any undue load. So I've got some very small little walks I can do nearby, and when I say small, they're no more than a few fields and a little bit of lanes and then back home. Some people may say that's possibly a bit too far at that, but the bottom line is this particular dog that I have, there's no stopping him. Even when we get back in the garden, he'll spend the next 2 or 3 hours literally running around like a madman, particularly when the kids come home from school. But yeah, in any case, I am monitoring how much I do with him and keeping it to a very minimum, and I'm just gradually building him up. So I've actually got him to walk in a straight line without stopping and sniffing all the time, and he's pretty good with that. If I just tap my hiking stick beside him, he knows that's a signal not to stop and just to keep going. And he's quite happy to be on a hands-free lead, which means it's attached to me rather than my hand. And we've kind of got that worked out between us, and that's going very well. The only thing I will say to that is that you know, if he does decide to dart off in a direction, you know, on the odd occasion he does that, it can be quite a jolt, particularly if I'm not paying attention to where he's particularly going to. So I'm stood in a gateway, and on a lot of the gates that I do pass, there could be livestock in there, and I've introduced him to the livestock, sheep and cattle, and he is showing a lot of interest, as you can imagine. But I have actually got him, if I command him to go down or sit, either one of those, he will sit and just stare at them intently. I'm under no illusion if he wasn't on a lead and he had his own free way or will, he would be gone in that field and after them. Hence, you know, I will never ever trust a dog off a lead around cattle and livestock. But it's good that when he's with me, I do have a level of command over him, and hopefully that will increase. So I'm going to continue pushing hard on this particular part of the training. So yeah, we're going to make our way down this very small bit of lane, and then we'll enter the footpaths. And as you can see, North Cornwall's experienced a lot of rain, and pretty much most of our little lanes, or should we say quiet country roads, are completely saturated in water, if not flooded in some parts. Although Bracken does seem to be dealing with being wet and cold pretty well. And that's probably a given, you'd probably think, as being a husky, but I was concerned. No dog likes being cold and wet, but he seems to be taking it all in his stride. So you can see I'm using the stick as a pace marker for him, so by the sound he knows to keep walking straight ahead and not stop and disappear into a hedgeway. But he will do that occasionally. He's still a young pup, but this just helps remind him. That's it. Come on, Bracken, keep going. Keep going. Right then, like I said, he sleeps downstairs by himself, and that's pretty much sorted. But he's as good as an alarm clock. 5:30 in the morning, I'm downstairs letting him out, and he has to do his run around the garden, come in and be fed. I wait for it to be light enough, and then I take him out for his first walk. So yeah, he's as good as an alarm clock in that fact. He knows his gateway, and this is part of a public footpath. There are sheep in there grazing on the well, crops or whatever's left of them. But yeah, it's a public footpath, so we've got to go up through that. And as you can see, he's got his head in the gate and he is really keen to be in there. But as you can see, there's sheep in there, but a public footpath goes up alongside the hedge, which we will follow. Well, he's very wary here, and there is an electric fence. Obviously he hasn't touched it, and I've got no intention of letting him touch it, but he can actually sense that if you have a look, he's backing away from it. It's ticking, but I'm quite curious as to whether they actually can detect that it's something that they shouldn't be getting near. Obviously they can. But like I said, we have sheep up here. So this one is going to be under strict control. As the sheep are just walking away from us, he's really alert. His ears are sticking up and he's sitting down, just as I've trained him. But never trust a dog, be under no illusion. That is just too tempting for them. You know, a couple hundred sheep, they'd be gone. But when he is under my control like this here now, he is not like I'm not fighting him or struggling with him to get up there and after them. So as you can see, his training in this respect around farm animals is coming on quite well. Come on, Bracken, come on, come on. What's that, boy? What's that? You see them? You're being a good boy. That is a good boy. It's really boggy underfoot and quite slippery. Bracken, he just seems to float over the top on his feet. They're quite wide feet, a husky has. They're not that, you know, I suppose it's aimed at dispersing the weight over snow, but he doesn't seem to sink very far into, you know, wet, muddy conditions. So I'm approaching a main road, and he is not too bad around vehicles now. Obviously, really fast big lorries, which one's just gone by. That does scare him. But cars and things of slower nature, you know, when they're going past him, he's quite okay with now. There's a little bit of work on that, but he's getting used to them. Now I'm going to put the phone down for obvious reasons. Manhandling a dog in the gate, I don't want to get a shock, and I certainly don't want him to get a shock. Always double check the lock. These locks sometimes, they sound and feel like they're closed behind you, but always give it a good shove like this to ensure you've got a firm latch close on it. Right, we've got this road to cross, so we're going to put our mind to this. So yeah, and follow the footpath again. I've actually shortened his leash. I've got my hand on it while we cross this road. Look up and down. Yeah, so Bracken is, well, he's crate trained. We've successfully got that totally nailed. Like I said, he'll go to bed in there, and if we need to be doing something around the house, we can't be interrupted or have him, you know, get under our feet. We can put him in there for a short period of time, and he's quite happy. He'll have his chew or toy, and he'll bed down and allow us a period of time to get anything that we need doing uninterrupted done. We have actually just made an outdoor kennel, and today was the first try of it. He was having none of that. He loves being out in the garden, and he'll quite happily sit out there without us. But being on a chain, like a 10-foot piece of chain with a kennel, which we thought would be a nice different touch if we've got something to do yet again. We could put him out there and he'd have access to the garden, and we wouldn't have to worry about him in any manner, like, you know, possibly escaping or doing damage somewhere. But there's a lot of work on that. He was howling like a wolf. Yet again, he's naturally sitting as I've trained him. And we got sheep there watching him, and he's watching them. Obviously, he's tethered to myself. Like I've said before, I'd never trust a dog around sheep, but I feel confident now that I'm not going to struggle with him around sheep in any case. He's very nervous of the bigger cattle, but yeah. Good boy. Everything we've read and heard about huskies, he's just stopped to sniff what looks like fox poo actually. But yeah, anything we've read and heard has been pretty much on the button. He's not that eager to please us as owners. He will do what he has to do, but they've got their own mind. On top of that, they like to dig and chew. All puppies do that. I mean, I've had puppies before, but there's just something that little bit more inherently you know, driven with it, with this breed of dog. Now, that is one reason I'm going to state he can't really be left fully on his own. I would never trust him in the house. You know, if we went out without him with somebody there, or him having some measure like being in the crate, or hopefully the outdoors kennels. Because quite simply, I think once that instinct takes over to bite and chew, you know, regardless of how well trained you think your husky is, or indeed how well I would like to think Bracken will be, I think there's always a danger you'd come back to some you know, damage to any of your, you know, property or items you have in the house or home. Come to an obstacle like a two-way gate, and this is where being like hands-free is great, that I can do the actual gate, still have him under control without worrying about him then sneaking out of my hand and shooting back up to those sheep. So, you know, there is method in this particular madness. Now, there is rain coming on those hills behind me, so, you know, obviously we're going to be making our way home. He can only have a short little walk, and that's been through a couple little fields, like I said, down a small lane, across a road, and we're heading home now. But ultimately, I do feel he could probably go longer even at this point in his life. But, you know, we're just trying to stick to the advice that they give you at the moment. He's a lovely dog, and when we're in this environment here and there's cow poos or any kind of animal poo in the grass, he will sniff. And particularly I've noticed horse, he likes horse poo. He will actually grab it and eat it, and I've had to try and stop him, but usually unsuccessfully. It's usually gone down his mouth and he's eating it by the time I get anywhere near to try and stop it. And I'm pretty sure what he's doing there is he can smell a cow poo and he wants to investigate it. It's not the most pleasant thing when he comes up and licks you or tries to get a cuddle and he's stinking of cow or horse poo. So you're probably thinking, for me to bring up about damage, you're probably wondering, what have I experienced so far? Well, one of my pear trees has been ringed. We let him out in the dark. It was very quiet. Nothing was happening when we were calling him back. We went into the garden, and one of our pear trees, he'd nibbled all the way around. The tree is in effect ringed. I'm hoping I can save it, but you know, it's those sort of things you have to bear in mind. Fortunately for us, all damage has taken place in the garden. Digging holes, biting the kids' toys outside, their ride-on toys. But that's where I will come back and say, you know, you have to be eyes on to mitigate any damage he can do. It's not their fault, it's curiosity, and indeed, you know, that's how they're learning about their environment. But they do suffer boredom, and he's looking for me to take him on little, you know, jaunts like this all the time. If he sees me put my Wellington boots on, he's ready to go. He wants to go, which is fantastic for me, because I believe he will fulfill his role as a hiking and outdoor dog, you know, to you know, everything I want. But I will say, as an indoor dog, a house dog, he will always have to be monitored, and you'll have to make provisions, you know, for their very nature, a Siberian Husky. Well, we've just been greeted with some cows. Yep. Keep them back, you don't want them to get too friendly. But Bracken is, I don't want to turn my back on him, he's quite nervous of them. Yep. Ray. Yeah, with cattle you've got to keep them at a respectful distance. This age they get playful, they come up behind you, and there's always that danger you could get trampled. So me and Bracken are going to make our way out of this footpath and field. Yay! So me and Bracken have got just a very small little bit of distance on this lane to get back home, and he'll have to wait for the kids to come home from the school run, and he'll be in the garden running about with them. So hopefully you can see his training is coming on quite well, and he had his first forest walk with myself and the kids, and yeah, he really was quite good at socialising with other dogs and people. So it's all starting to come together. So at this point I can say I think he will be an exceptional outdoor dog. He doesn't really have much choice to be in the matter. He's never going to be an indoors urban dog. It will be all this for him for all his life. So, you know, perhaps it's just as well that he does enjoy it, eh? But yeah, this is Andy. Thanks for checking out this video. It's a little bit of an odd one, but I thought it was quite in keeping with the channel, just to let you see how our husky is developing.